What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, I have Heston Cleveland. Oh, my loyal listener, you know who Heston Cleveland is. He's been on the What Makes You Famous podcast quite a few times, and he's a big-time promoter out there in Oakland, California, and, you know, through this internet, the world, and especially loves promoting his lovely mama, Carrie Cleveland, with all her sweet sounds of the 70s all the way up into the sounds of today. Yeah, you're going to get to know what's going on with Heston Cleveland in the next few minutes. Also, with Heston Cleveland, I have BlackNova, the BlackNova experience. Well, at least half of the BlackNova experience, K.E. Dorham. Yes, he's like musical royalty. You know the Dorham name. Oh, yeah, you do. You're going to get to know what's going on with K.E. Dorham. Well, yeah, like in the next few minutes. So stick around. This week's shows, I will be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, my usual Friday night gig, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. If you want to dance, you dance. You want to sing, you sing. Hey, they got pool tables. In fact, they got a pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool, I encourage you to come on out to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Oh, delicious food in that kitchen. I encourage you. The more you eat, the more you can drink. I think that's science. It's not me. It's science. Don't quote me on that. It's fuzzy science. That's Friday night at the Rab, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam in Conway, Arkansas, from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. Also, on Saturday, I will be in Fairfield Bay at the Cool Pool Sports Grill, kicking off this Memorial Day weekend. Very excited about that. Yeah. I like going to the Cool Pool in Fairfield Bay. They got they call it Adults Night because it's, you know, they got, I don't know whether they're going to have me outside by the pool or if they're going to have me inside the Cool Pool Sports Grill. I don't know. Either way, they kick all the kids out of there by 8 p.m. and then it's mommy daddy time, adult time. Yeah, and we get to play and sing. Now, if they put me inside the sports grill, they can sing whatever they want. But if it's outside, we got to show some decorum, I guess. It's nice. It's nice to have some adult time. You know, the kids can get a babysitter. or they can take care of themselves. I was a latchkey kid. I can take care of myself. All right, party people. That's on Saturday from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Check out the Cool Pool Sports Grill in Fairfield Bay. So stoked to be back in Fairfield Bay. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Heston Cleveland and K.E. Dorham of the BlackNova experience. I got them on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDan. Skyping them now.
Say something. Oh.
Heston, we've
say something. You was talking to me.
We've talked on this podcast several times, and so it should be old hat for you. Well, all right. Well, Heston Cleveland, you're the one that got this little party together. Give the people an idea of why we are here this time.
This time, my friend, because I think it's been a total of 4 times in our years of knowing each other. So before I even get started, Jan, man, I thank you, man, and I love you, man. You've been a big supporter, man, and a friend. anything I ask, you always do your best to do it. So I
Feeling
gotta thank
mutual.
I gotta thank you, man. You know, we here for Mama. You know, uh, the story has evolved. I know you watching, and I appreciate your support. Since the last time we talked, I met that man down there in the bottom right, K.E. Dorham, 50% of BlackNova Entertainment. I met him with another mutual friend of ours, Dan, Naru. Naru Quina invited me to a June 16th party 2 years ago. And one of his supporters happened to be K.E. Durham. So we all huddled together and enjoyed our friend Naru really do his thing. So we got familiar with each other. He told us that he's a multi-genre musician and singer, songwriter, videographer. Hey, God has put this man with us, Dan. I mean, so he liked the story, and he did his research, and we exchanged numbers. And he called me one day. He said, "Man, I would love to have the opportunity of doing some music for your mom." And I asked my mom, and my mom was like, "Yeah, okay, I like him. He seems nice." So we started going over there, and he started sharing his music, and we liked it. So we made a deal. I wouldn't say nothing and just let him do what he had to do. And I'll do the same for as the promotion. So then, I gave him a hard time. I'm like, "Man, why are you doing? Because you know how I am about my mama." So to round this off so he'll have some time, we come over and he says, "It's finished." And he plays the song, and my mom noticed before me, "It's about me." She said, "You listen to the words, it's about me." So, I listened to the words and I'm like, "Hey, that's a nice song." And I had to humbly come back. So then he says, "Let's do a video." He asked us, what color we liked, and my mom and I both said royal blue. So we go get fitted. He does everything, Dan. He did everything. Mm-hmm. Found a venue, had us do our parts, and on my mom's birthday, he comes over. Now, my mom's birthday is January 4th. Okay. And on that day, it was a storm. I mean, it rained like it never rained before. "No, you don't have to come, Kay. You don't have to come." He says, "No, I'm on my way." So he came, brought my mom a couple of dozen of roses and a carpet cleaner.
All right.
So he sat down. He said, "The video's ready." He sat there and played the video, and I cried like a baby. I cried like I literally laid my head on his chest and cried like a baby. You see it. He did that. So Carrie Cleveland is back.
Like she
For
never
the
left. She's never been gone. That's how these artists stay living forever. I mean, we lost one of the greats today. I don't like to usually date these podcasts, but my goodness, Tina Turner,
yeah.
gone, but definitely never ever ever forgotten. She gave so much to this world of music. But let's bring K.E. Dorham into the fold. That's Heston Cleveland's version of the story. Let's see what K.E. Dorham has to say. The BlackNova experience. What you got?
Yeah, K.E. Dorham, cousin to the late great jazz trumpeter, Blue Note recording artist Kenny Dorham. That's Dorham. Graduate of myself of Prairie View A&M University, Fort Worth, Texas to Houston. After I graduated university, and after losing my first producer in a car accident in March of '96, by July of '97, I was out here in the Bay Area. I was saying earlier that back home, everything is sports oriented. So my last year home, I was on the football field doing Arena League football tryout with the Texas Terror. The next year, by the time I got here and got settled, I was on stage doing stage theater for a couple of years, doing gospel opera. And then someone peeped my acting, on stage. And I started, getting parts and main parts in local, film here. And then that led me to shooting my own videos and everything to the work that me and my man, Archie, Jackson, better known as Blast, the music that we started back in '93, it took 10 years to finish it in 2003. So the music had changed technologies 3 times, DA-88, the ADAT, then finally computer. By the time I got everything finished and started shooting my first video, I pulled my man Ricardo Love in to cameo in the video. He did 2 songs on my first album. We weren't a unit back then. We met, in passing. But it's so funny how he knew Naru Quana, I knew Naru in passing. And after all of this time, when me and Ricardo come back together in December 2013 and become the unit BlackNova as a music duo, after doing like 7 albums, and a bunch of singles and shooting videos and everything, all coming out of working man's pockets. We did the gentrification song, Don't Cry, a remake of Bob Marley's No Woman, No Cry.
Okay.
And then got gentrified out of Oakland ourselves. And so when we shut down the studio apartment after 8 years of being there, Ricardo took a job in a studio in Las Vegas. And right before he left, he taught me how to use Cubase to make music. Now, mind you, in 34 years of doing music, I had never put my hands on the equipment myself, except to tinker in a bass line that he would tighten up, tinker in a drum pattern that he would quantize, But when he left, I had to. And so in the new BlackNova studio, after I became acquainted, with Heston and Moms, Miss Cleveland, through Nauru Kuna, she was the very first person that I recorded, period. And with the music track, provided by Divine Noise, who's my graphic artist and the artist themselves, he's the one that put the face on BlackNova. Any advertisement posting you see, that's Philip Sandler III. Then my, videographer, Quakers Warfield, he shot everything that you've seen of ours. And between them two, they put the face on BlackNova. Well, Divine Noise, Mr. Philip Sandler, he provided about 3 tracks. And then I made a few new tracks. I made a really nice jazz track for Moms, one track in Bossa Nova for Moms. And all I did was, as I became acquainted with them, listen to their stories. And it was such a beautiful story. Usually, you hear about, family members going through drama and stuff like this and everything. But this is just one of those families that had a lot of love, all in the right places. And all I did was listen to what they were saying. And once I got her voice in my head and knew her range was and everything, you know, listen to our old recordings. That Love Will Set You Free is the first one that grabbed me and sold me. And I was like, if she comes close to this, you know, if she comes close to this, then we'll be good. And she absolutely did. And so I just took all of their stories and crafted it in all of these songs, but I put it to different music than what they were expecting. And that's what Heston was talking about. We were doing some things that they weren't used to do. They thought it was just going to be standard old ballads. And I'm like, no, we'll get back to that. Mm-hmm. But this lady hadn't recorded in 44 years. Her album is selling on eBay for $400 and $600 a vinyl. And with her still being able to sing and do some things, I was going to try some new things. And so I labeled the whole project Back from Her Beauty Nap. Back from my beauty nap, Google me. And we taken off, shot our very first videos. And to end, you know, the reason why I did all of this is because two things. Number one, you don't see people, you know, at this age still up and doing things, you know, to this degree. Mm-hmm. The other thing is there are so many unsung heroes throughout our neighborhoods, in our families, you know. It's your mom's friend, you know, it's your schoolmate down the street's aunt that was in the kitchen, you know, cooking and singing. You know, it's that odd person that you met on the street and you're like, man, nobody celebrates these people. You're not seen to be anybody until somebody can put you in the face of everybody. And I was just determined to do this for this lady that not only was such a major talent in her time. You know, I'm not all going by what's on TV and radio all the time. Mm-hmm. You can hear with your own ears and you can see. And you see all of these old pictures and stuff of this beautiful lady. And then she's beautiful now and she can still do it some. I was determined to make sure that the world saw her a second time.
Well, K.E. Dorham, you're making magic happen, and you're teaching my loyal listener all about the history of recording. Yes, I know how to splice reel to reel. I started back in '86. I know how to record analog. And, you know, through the years, I've had to go back to school myself and learn computers. Really? You're going to learn how to use computers to record? Is it good? Is it bad? It's different. So, yeah, '86, I started on reel to reel. But then by 2001, I said, I need to get back to school. And I need to learn. And you said Cubase. Man, I remember Cubase. I remember Fruity Loops. I remember, you know, all this stuff that people were making beats on. And this really shifted the landscape forward, because it used to be only a few people with a lot of money. You know, really the record labels had you, you know, by the hand, because only maybe a handful of studios all over this great nation of ours, and maybe another couple of handfuls all over the world where people can actually make some recordings. Now, if you've got a good computer, if you've got a few $1,000s worth of equipment, you can make a demo. You still should have a good recording engineer, and it sounds like that's what you are. You're somebody with a discerning ear, somebody who could put all these different pieces together, a voice, a drum beat, a bass guitar, put all these pieces together and make magic. And you can make a bossa nova song using the same vocals. You can make a hip hop song using the same vocals. You can make a you know, like a techno song with the same vocals. It just mixing it up a certain kind of way. And you got 3, 4, 5 different kinds of songs for different types of people, or people that are trying to groove in a different kind of way. And you're not limiting yourself. BlackNova. Oh my goodness.
We, as of today, have just dropped 11 songs on out to the market in 11 different genres. All of which I say that Ricardo Love and I are the most diverse duo in music history. Fly as dopadelic, funky as a fishery. Funky Town's finest and Kalamazoo Brown. No pigeonhole in our sound. Sit down, clown. We don't make throwaway songs. Each one's a hit. One-trick ponies, you don't know spit. They'll soon be over you. Combing through the genres, you'll hear somebody say, damn, that's BlackNova too? That's our intent.
Oh my goodness, you're inspiring me. When I started back in '86, I know there were still some old school DJs that were still like that. There was a guy named Green down in South Florida. I can't remember his first name. Maybe it was Green Machine, maybe it was something green, but he used to do that. And it was like a throwback from the 50s and 60s when AM radio was king. And you know, they were they would get the records, take a listen to them, and then put them right out on the air. And that was something that I was doing back in '86. They would get me a CD, I'd take a listen to it, maybe a 12-inch record. I would listen to it. If I liked it, I put it on the air. But the style that you just gave me, you spit those few bars, man. It just reminded me of radio in its heyday and music back in the day. And Carrie Cleveland was part of that history. That she grooved. And the music that she puts out, that's the stuff that you listen to with your lady late at night when you're just feeling good and you just want to have some love. Maybe you're going to make love. Maybe you're going to just sit and chill and listen. But let me tell you, that music from back in that day, that's the stuff, man. I used to work the night shift at Exito 105.5 down in Miami. And I know you're from Texas. So going from Miami to Arkansas is not quite as similar, but it is a big change going from Texas to Oakland. I mean, I want to know about that change. What did you bring from Texas? Did you bring some of that Tex-Mex? Did you bring some of that country feel, that R&B, some of that red dirt? I don't know. What is it in Texas?
People have misperceptions about Texas. When you out in the country, you in the country. But I grew up right in the middle of the city, right in the middle of Funky Town. And so down south, we're very much about a bass drum. Different regions have different things. When I came out here to Oakland, it was the hyphy music, music and the hyphy movement, the hyphy dances. I've been from here to London, Denmark, Norway, Germany, Brazil, and back here and across the U.S., I ain't never seen nothing like the hyphy movement in Oakland. It's a thing of it. You think when you show up at a club here in the Bay that you could just jump in and start, thea's dancing and all that? You cannot. I mean, and it doesn't matter nationality in the Bay. You will see little Filipino kids, little Chinese kids. It's like it's in the water down here. It's crazy over here.
Well, KE, you're giving me new terms, man. There's often games that I'll play when I'm at the club. I'll say, can you stump the DJ? Well, you just gave up with hyphy. Hyphy's a term that I don't know. Explain, what is hyphy?
What? Wait a minute, Dan. You don't know about the hyphy movement?
No.
From the Bay Area? E40.
E40, the Skeet the Sneak, hyphy is like Carrie Cleveland and Bill Cleveland sound. It's something that just don't ever go away. One of the biggest figures in the hyphy movement, even though Keith the Sneak came up with the term hyphy, but the biggest figure in the hyphy movement is Mac Dre. This guy's been gone a great number of years. He was in Kansas City. I think he got, killed there. But I'm telling you, I've seen it in person and I've seen it on film. You put on a Mac Dre song,
they going hyphy.
Now that's hyphy, Hyphy.
People act like this guy is still here. If there's anything but like in life, would be to be loved like the Bay loves Mac Dre. It's heavy.
Oh, yeah, he's a legend.
Okay,
Yeah, they
now
love
I got it.
you.
Now
Want
I got it. It took me Googling hyphy, HYPHY, and now I'm understanding exactly what you're saying. It's not only, it's short for hyperactive. It's not only the rapping, keep the sneak, but it's also the vibe, the wild, the loud,
Right.
the
Hey, man,
dancing.
you read fast.
it's the car motored sideshows in the middle of the street. They gather for it. Sometimes the police can't even get in. They have to wait till it's over with. They do it on the freeway. You'll be driving down the freeway and you'll drive and you're like, what the hell is all of these swirls in the middle of the freeway? How did they do that? When did they do that? Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Shut down the freeway.
Oh, hip hop and car shows, they go together, like peanut butter and jelly, man. It's just, I used to love setting up my music and letting people, borrow that microphone and, I'd put a beat on, or they would bring their own beat and just, plug in. This is like the early 2000s. I was getting into that. And then they'd have a car show right there. And it just breaks out into a party. So I know. Yeah. I know it from the 2000s. I don't know it from the 90s. Back then I was 2 turntables and a microphone. But, when computers started coming out.
You'll get a chance to learn it in your own time because it's not going anywhere. And likewise, the sounds of Bill and Carrie Cleveland is going nowhere. I don't think Mr. Bill gets mentioned enough. But this man here, composed these songs, comprised the band, and then put his wife out of the kitchen, right out into the front, and right where she really deserved to be. It wasn't for a lot of, groups, they might put somebody out front, as a favor or because they ain't got nobody else. No, she was the right one. I recently found out, from listening to Heston, as he talked about the book that's being, going to editing now in Miss Carrie Cleveland's honor, that they started their band actually back in the late 60s. And what we heard, or what we've been hearing, and what everybody's been hearing across seas over the past 4 decades, is the 1978 recording. I'm really curious to hear all of the stuff that they made building up to the 78 release. Because when you hear it now, classic stuff don't get old. This music just simply doesn't get old. The mood you're in that time of the day or that time of the week, you may not be there, but whenever you do hear it and you got time to rest and you get a chance to hear this, it grabs you right away and it holds you. And then it sticks with you. You'll always come back to Carrie Cleveland's Looking Up album, any of those. I'm not just Love Will Set You Free or Make Love to Me. One of my favorite on that album was Take Me to a Disco, and moms don't even like that song.
Well, that's what happens when you get to a certain level. When you get to a certain level, people want to know where you came from. Yes, she had her biggest hits back in the 70s, including some R&B and some disco hits. But before that, she was already, you always got to start somewhere. Back in school, you were a band geek or whatever. You played the trumpet, you played the trombone, you played the piccolo. You had something where you started. And that's where people, when you get to a certain level, when you get a little more famous, people want to know, man, how did you begin? I want to follow in those footsteps. I want to be like K.E. I want to be like Carrie. But let's bring Heston back into this story because I want to know about this book and what is going on with this book.
Dan, I talk to you a lot. I talk to a lot of people. And the more I talk, the more I put everything and remember everything. So my mom and I watch a lot of Lifetime movies. So I was thinking, man, this is a hell of a story. My mom got over 1 million streams at 82 years of age. And every day it moves 700-800. So it's been listened to in 24 hours, 700-800 times a day. on that one platform. Now, there's a streaming thing called Online Music Box.
Okay.
I typed my mom's name in there, and it shows it. Today it was 7 different songs played on 17 different radio stations in 10 different countries. So I go down and let me see where Love Will Set You Free play. I hit Love Will Set You Free, and the whole list comes down. 22 times in France, 13 times United Kingdom. It played in Switzerland, London. It's, and I'm growing up there while he was making the music. And yes, they started before 78. The stories that I've witnessed, I had to do it. The offer came out where this guy, I'm going to just say his name, Courtney Burgess. I met him. And I started telling him the story. And he said, I could help you with the book. So I got an editor. I just do the talking. I do the recording and send it to her. I send her the pictures, and she's going to be the glue. It's a hell of a story. My mom and dad tour all over the Bay Area with the following, and this is way before the internet. People would come by the house that I now know as superstars. In Vogue, Tower of Power, Pete Escovedo, Sheila E. And the funny thing, the drummer, my dad's Batman and Robin, Victor Leonard Green. He played for Big Mama Thornton, James Brown, Fats Domino, Chubby Checker. I found his obituary and I read all of that stuff. I'm like, man. And like, I know him. I know his sons. He has 3 sons that also play drum. My mom stopped singing, because she decided to carry on all the dates after my father died, because my father died all of a sudden. And the band started fighting with her, and she just got tired. And the last time she sung before this second chapter started was at her wedding reception. And that was it. So 20 plus years later, we started finding out about all this stuff, people selling her music. They were selling the downloads, and they were just killing us. We weren't getting anything, and a lot of people were making the money. So Kalita Records reissued her music, and he had me do a few cease and desist because people were just selling the music. And people just loved my mom's music. And I look at her and I'm going, that's you. You know, and she has no idea.
She's so sweet. She's so humble. She, I've written some of this material to try to give her a little attitude, and she's just simply nothing like her. But I'm writing about her, but she's just so humble. Sometimes she like hear a certain line, she be like, ooh. I be like, it's okay, Mom.
Yeah.
You done work. It's already you. I'm just telling everybody about you.
Well, you can edit that.
When I saw the lady dancing in a video to "Love Will Set You Free," dancing on the bridge over in London, that's when I knew we had to give whoever that was. We had to give her something else because people probably think Mom's is gone. Let me tell you, this little 82-year-old chick is swift on her feet. She don't let no grass grow. I'm out in the garage trying to put the recycling together and throw away trash and organize stuff. And she's like, what do I need to do? Mm-hmm. She won't be still. Heston,
No.
She's Heston off sometimes because she won't be still.
Yeah, you got to realize once you get to a certain age, you don't want to give up. You don't want to just, sit around and do nothing. You retired. You know, sometimes people think that that's like a shorthand to the grave. No way. I never want to retire. I want to keep on doing what I want to do. And if she wants to sing, then sing. My goodness. But, I'm glad, Heston, you gave credit where credit is due. You're not writing the story entirely on your own. You found a writer that needed something to write about. And guess what? You gave him a story about your mama. And now he's going to be able to help you compile that story. It's nice to get credit where credit is due, and it's nice that that there are people like that. Sometimes a writer doesn't. They run out of things. It's called writer's block, and then they start. I need something to write about. So I'm sure he was pretty happy that you came up with this idea, and he's going to help you put that story together. That's fantastic. That's beautiful. How much into it are you? And when can people expect? Is there a deadline, or are you just taking your time?
Well, it's on a fast pace. I'm just about finished. I'm waiting for a draft, a rough draft of it. So I'm saying in the next before the end of summer.
Okay. That's
the
pretty
end of
fast.
summer.
That is pretty fast. All right, let's go back to the music, okay? The music of the 60s and the 70s. Those are the beats that we stole in the 80s to make hip-hop, okay? So I want to talk about that. Talk about the music that will never die. It's, classic rock is classic rock for a reason. Classic R&B, same thing. It still gets played on the radio stations. And even if you don't know that new song is being remade with an old beat, these kids, all right, I'm going to start sounding like my dad or my granddad. These kids today don't know that funky drummer is half of the drum beats on every hip hop song that's old school. James Brown, you were talking about earlier, all that funky drummer, that beat was used so many times. But I imagine, you could make something old into something new. All these classic songs that Carrie Cleveland sang, BlackNova, what are you doing? Are you taking some of those songs, some of those old tracks, and freshening them up and making them new?
No, we got too much original stuff over here flowing. I can respect all of the old school and still commemorate it and everything, but we don't have a whole bunch of room for cover tunes and remakes and stuff over here. That Bob Marley song, the way it happened was we were getting ready to go out and start performing in 2018. And Ricardo was sitting there strumming the song, and he took affection to it because he plays guitar and it's an acoustic song.
Yep.
And so as I began to sing it there in rehearsal, the words wasn't really connecting to my experience. That was Bob Marley's experience. And so as I began to look around to what was going on, at the time around us, that's in the beginning of 2018, was just when the homeless situation became, materialized right in front of our eyes. All of a sudden, it was tents with people under them all over the place. And you start, okay, is this a temporary situation? And then you go another month, and then there was more people. And it's like, this is crazy. It's like they just multiplied overnight. People were homeless, And so I started to write about that homeless experience there. And then I looked around the country and I started seeing other gentrification moves and displacements and stuff. And I looked around the world and I saw the same thing. So Don't Cry, Bob Marley's, our remake of Bob Marley's song became an international song because of what's actually going on in the world. But, man, no, like I say, we just dropped 11 songs in 11 different genres. And that's just the first set. I got, me and Ricardo, we got albums. And all of it has a place in someone's life somewhere. I will say this about the old and new school. We're living in the day of the self-proclaimed GOAT. These kids these days, they want to be the best that's ever done it without ever even running the race. They don't want to really compete. They want to be the best right now, already. With us, when we were growing up, and you know what I'm talking about, Dan, there was a standard that was set out before us. And even though we were coming into our own thing, with hip hop, first coming to the radio in 79, I think I was in the 6th grade, we grew up on Al Green and Marvin Gaye and the stylistics and all of this stuff, and Steve Arrington and Slave and Parliament Funkadelic and all of these people and everything. And I wanted to be Bootsy Collins. He was the coolest cat that I had ever seen in my life. First concert I ever, got taken to. But even though we were doing our thing and hip hop was a way different thing, we still had enough, good sense to understand that the people that came before us was some bad folks because our parents was grooving to them so hard. They got introduced to us, as a way of life. And then we bridged off of it and we were able to form our own new thing with hip hop and this new style of R&B going into the 80s, going on out, and still respect what came before us. Nowadays, these kids can hear a beat and everything, and it's not like it was when somebody made us aware that the song existed before we sampled it and everything or heard the sample of it. These days, these kids would be like, that's so-and-so song. So-and-so copied them. No. They couldn't have copied them because they existed 30, 40, 50 years before, and they were like, no, this is his song. What do you do with that?
No, when you were talking about back in our day, I thought about Kool Moe Dee, the great prophet Kool Moe Dee. You better work. You got to work, man. You can't just jump right in and get your FL Studio, your Fruity Loops, and get the beats that are already laid out for you, mix and match a little bit, and then put it out there and lay down some really soft, weak lyrics. And think if I put it on SoundCloud, I'm gonna make $1 million. Nope.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think it's like that today?
I think it's us, man. I don't know how between my generation who went outside and played out in the Everglades in Florida, out with alligators, jumping alligators on my ATC 3-wheeler, and to this next generation. My kid not wanting to go outside, wanted to be on a computer and wanted to be never going outside and experiencing the world outside, always experiencing right here on this little screen. And I know it's ironic that we're making a video and we're making an audio and it's going to be used on computers, but I hope that somebody's listening to the audio version of this and doing some jogging, lifting some weights, going out and having a hike and seeing the world to get inspiration to make the next great song. What do you think, K.E.?
Well, when it comes to family, whatever is going on inside the house, that's what the kids are trained on. The 911 call pretty much handicapped parenting. And so I understand why parents are so standoffish if you think you're going to get in trouble for just disciplining your kids the way we all had been. But when it comes to the music, this has all been, set up and orchestrated this way. Once the record label owners started investing in the private prison industry, they started determining what they were going to, put their monies behind being played across the airs. And so once they, once they find the artist that they want to promote and not promote any conscious artist or anybody doing any, thought-provoking music or anything like that, and only sponsor, those who they have this agenda for. Once you put a stack of money in these kids' hands, you can't tell me nothing. You ain't got more money than I got. And so that's how the standards got so relaxed now to where we're getting a bunch of garbage music. There was a time that we used to try to keep up with trends because what was happening was so hot and so popular. Mm-hmm. You can't do that now with this music. It's one of the reasons why I have zero shame about being BlackNova. Being originally what we are, because just like Carrie Cleveland music, we don't put out anything that we don't think is a hit, period. We don't even record anything that we don't think is a hit. We really don't have throwaway songs. And the only way to prove it is to put it out there and let the people, digest it, and then they'll tell us what they think of it. And so I'm 100% confident about what we have to present. People are going to be over in the clubs in the UK and through Germany and all over the world, here in the United States even. Once these DJs get hold to Miss Carrie 2022, they're going to be dancing, as somebody else might have told us, man, you're going to do that song? Yeah, well, yeah, we're going to do that song. We're going to do everything that comes to mind and let the world enjoy it for those that enjoy it.
Well, me as the consumer and the DJ, I'm always in awe of the people that can make the magic like you, that can arrange music. Are you using actual musicians? Because you come from a musician family, a family that has jazz and R&B and hip hop. You come from a royal family that has all that in their lives. Can you see doing electronically what musicians used to do, or do you bring musicians into a studio to back up you, BlackNova, and Carrie Cleveland, and all the other artists that you represent, that you mess around with?
It would be nice, but unfortunately, almost all of the production of BlackNova has been done out of Singapore. Not Singapore, Singapore. Been Singapore for a time. And people don't come and join hands with you just because you have great ideas and everything. You have to build it before they come. There are, and I'm sure that there are people listening out there that can attest to this story. And particularly those of you that's listening to this broadcast, that's musicians yourself. There are so many instrumentalists in every city. They're some of the baddest people that you could possibly ever want to hear. But before you can get them together and make something original pop, they would rather go and play for $75 a night here, $45 a night there, and never, become part of something that can go out and really make a living, for themselves. You have to build it first, and then they'll come. And now, after all of these years, all of these music videos, all this music production, I have people now that are joining hands with me that will go out and perform it like there's going to be something to hear and see. But no, unfortunately, because of the lack of monetary resources and camaraderie, it's just been me and Ricardo Love. Yeah. He and his guitar and his guitar synthesizers, GR55, but and me and the lyrics and the melodies and the harmonies, mainly all vocal. Whenever you hear BlackNova songs, until that is distinctly a featured guest, all of the vocals of mine because I hadn't even been able to find a female that could sing my background harmonies.
Well, I'm recording this with Adobe Audition, and I know if I want to make my voice into a female voice, I can do that. No problem. You know, electronically, you can become a female. You could do your own harmonies. You could sing in the background. People that are stuck in the past, they got to move into the now. All right. Yeah, it's nice to go to a show and see a group of musicians playing, doing their thing, honing their craft. But are they going to make money by putting this music out on Spotify and Apple? No, they're not going to make a lot of money. Maybe it'll give them some ears, so they'll go to a show and they can make that $75 a night, which is not much. That's why the word starving comes before artist. Starving artist. So if you want to support your local artist, and I'm talking to my listener right now as well as I'm talking to you, buy a CD, buy a T-shirt, buy some merchandise. You know, get one of those BlackNova flags that you see in the behind KE in the video version of this, and put it up in your room and take pictures of it and put it on Instagram and tag KE and BlackNova. You know, that way they can keep going and doing what they do, because you're not going to make any money on Spotify. My goodness, 0.0001 cent is not how you're going to pay your rent, man. So what is the future of music, man? I know the past. I know hip hop. I know when I grew up in the 80s, whatever happens, whatever may come, it was always, I'm the best from the east to the west. Yeah, I got the biggest mouth from the north to the south. And then it got crazy in '88 when Two Live Crew came in. And I was there in Florida, in South Florida, when they changed. They pretty much single-handedly changed what you can say and what you can do in hip-hop. And I was there when Sheriff Nick Navarro in Fort Lauderdale said, if you say something, I'm going to arrest you. They said something, boom, all the lights came down. They got arrested. I mean, what is the future of hip hop? Can it survive?
Well, first of all, there's a difference between hip hop and rap.
Okay.
What you're hearing across the radio waves, you know, is rap. Rap is a creation of the industry. They've shaped that narrative. Hip hop is on the underground. Hip hop is on the streets. It's on the streets. Hip hop is Piff Marty. Hip hop is the rappers up in Philadelphia that's got this original flavor, you know, and hip hop is people that you have to kind of seek to find, but it's some of the best stuff that you'll ever hear. The industry had just decided that they're not going to promote, you know, any positive, interesting, or thought, you know, I mean, Kendrick Lamar is what you're going to get. And he's phenomenal, you know, your J. Cole, you know, and your people like that. But they let a few of those slide through, but they promote what, you know, they're, you know. So hip hop, you got to go look for it. Rap, you can hear it every day.
SoundCloud DJs, SoundCloud rappers, you know, rapping into their phones and putting it out there. It's hard as a consumer, once again, to discern what's going to be a good product, what's going to be, you know, what's going to get to my ears and make me happy while I'm doing whatever I'm doing. You know, you are taking the time to put things together in the certain kind of way that's melodic. And I know if you like it, somebody else is going to like it. So you don't put anything out until KE. Well, you
have to put it out, you know, at some point. You have to put it out regardless. You know, there are certain people I wasn't very much a fan of, but other people were. And it had to do with the product either they were promoting or some type of movement that they were pushing. Say, like, for instance, Ben Harper, you know, I thought he was pretty simple. But Ben Harper has the surfing community that he does music for. And then he did the documentary Whitewash and everything, telling about the history of, you know, the beaches around the world. And then his music I started to connect with it a little more. The thing is, if you're an artist, you have to take your hard-earned dollars and put it in the right places in your production so that you can present a product, that will be palatable to the eye and to the ear. And if you'll just put it out there, your audience may be this big or it may be this big, but somebody ties into the spirit of what you're doing. And I'm counting on people tying into the spirit of BlackNova, because we don't waste words. We don't do no secondhand production. I have broken myself. And so we was talking earlier about a point. When people used to, come by and they see some of the stuff I was doing and say, man, I want to do that, and I tell them, I would ask them a serious question, especially after I put out that first album. And I was sitting there, like on the corner at the museum. And I was like, I cannot make this pitch out of my mouth not one more time. What does it take to sell a CD? And then, advertisement. You need a billboard. Okay, how much does one of those cost? Okay, radio spot. How much does it cost to get your song played on the radio? Oh, okay, I might can afford this or that, but I can't afford all of these. And then you have to take that used to and multiply it times every city that had a demographic that tuned into the spirit of what you were putting out. You were talking about how things was in the beginning. People these days don't really know, if they wasn't in it back then, to see how you had to pay for the studio. First, you had to find a producer, pay the producer to make the beat if you didn't make it yourself. Then you had to get studio time, pay for it just to go dump the music onto a format you could use. Then you had to come back another time and then do the vocals to all the music that was laid down there in the studio. Then comes the mixing, then comes the mastering. People used to find talent, A&R representatives for record labels used to find talent like they did Boys II Men. You can sing? Okay, hit it right now. Doom, 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 da, da, da. And okay, your own. That's how it used to happen. And the record label footed the bill for your first 2 or 3 albums till you got out of their debt for them loaning you money to live while you went out and did the product, performed the product. Then it became, okay, I hear you can sing, bring me a demo. So now you had to go through that whole process of finding the music production, studio time, and all this stuff just to get the demo, okay? Then it became, okay, bring us a package. Then it became, well, how many units have your package sold? So basically, it went from being an A&R representative thing, finding new talent for record labels, to you doing it all yourself. And I'm a college graduate with a bachelor's degree. I've had a better, wage than most. Mm-hmm. But if you are a single guy, or just say you're a normal guy and you have a baby's mother, your family split or your family could be together and you got a hard-time job. Soon as you get your money, all your money's gone. You're not going to have money to put it in that, but you know that your talent is something that you could live off of and it deserves a chance. Then I begin to understand the dope men and the dope sellers and those who tied hands with whoever they had in order to get their art out so that they could get close to a chance of turning it into a living. This is what the industry did. The only equalizer now is what you were talking about, a few minutes ago, Dan, is that the equipment that you used to have to go in and rent out of major studios to just do one song, mm-hmm. You can buy these units, have it in-house, tie them together, make sure everything is as close to major studio quality as possible with the dollars you have, and record as many songs as your heart desire. That's the equalizer today.
Yeah, but then out of 100, you're going to get, 90 that are crap, that are no good. You're putting out not a good product. But let me commend you. That little Boys II Men riff. I was wondering if you were Nathan, Sean, or Wanya, because that was beautiful, man. I can tell you got pipes. You just came at me, boom. I thought it was Morris or Stockman, somebody. Oh my goodness! And you just came out without warming it up. But BlackNova, it's a 2-man team. You got skills. You got musicianship, you got vocals, and you got skills on the computer that can put out a good product. And you will not put a product out unless you love it, unless it's, but then again, with the creator, nothing created is ever finished. It's abandoned. Like, I guess George Lucas would say stuff like that about his Star Wars movies. It wasn't finished. It was abandoned. That was the best I can do in the time that I had. So, I know there's probably still music that you put out there that you go, man, I could have raised that a little bit, or I could have tweaked that a little bit, or I could put a little something there. I mean, I'm sure you are harder on yourself than anybody could ever be. Am I right?
Well, Ricardo Love was harder on me than anybody could ever be.
That's fantastic.
We used to go back and forth, because he's musically trained and I'm kind of not, People who are musically trained, when they see people like me coming, he says I have this unconventional way of doing things, but the finished product has always come out so nice. He's just out the wide. He's like, I don't really like the way you did that, but can't really say nothing because is that because of what Hollywood is doing to our youth, fooling them into believing that some of them are as talented as they really are not. I understand that that's what we're competing with. And particularly when you get to this age, nobody wants to see you with the gray. Your has been. Your time is over. You should go sit down somewhere for the next 30 years and plan how you're going to die. And that's BS. And so since I know that's what I'm competing with, I am determined to do BlackNova as BlackNova. I'm not looking to sell any songs to anyone unless the opportunity comes and there's someone that's really serious that the song suits. Otherwise, since I know I'm competing with LA and Hollywood, and the cricket game they play, I make sure that anything that's produced out of the BlackNova experience is audibly and visually able to compete with anything that they're putting out of there for all that working man pockets can provide.
Yeah, long gone are the days when groups can hang out in front of the studio and try to get that break. It used to be you could be in a group and just singing some doo-wop around a trash can like you see in the movies. Maybe you're in front of Empire Records or whatever record company, and you're hoping that producer comes out and says, hey, you guys are pretty good. Let me give you a $5,000 bonus. Of course, you're going to have to pay all that back. Nowadays, you got to already have made it before the record company even looks at you. Oh, you got 100,000 followers on your Instagram and your Twitter. Oh, you got 10,000 followers on your TikTok. Oh, now we'll talk to you. Yeah, after I've already done all the work and put all that blood, sweat, and tears into making my music, now you're going to want to come in and take a piece of it? I don't know, man. It takes a lot to sign on that dotted line.
That can make it kind of tragic, if you don't have dope man pockets, or if you don't have an endorsement by a rich uncle or some radio personality, that can bring you in. You got to get it how you can get it to get on. And that has nothing to do with the level of talent that an artist might be. But the way Hollywood plays the game, if you don't look like nobody, then you're nobody. And that's why I understood that you have to know what you have and what you don't have. If you really have the desire to do it, you must do it. You must build it, because nobody's going to give a damn about who you are until you make yourself known in a major way on your own.
Yeah, sometimes you say if you don't look like nobody, sometimes being different in a crazy kind of way is a good thing too. So, whatever your creative juices say, whatever your muse tells you to do, you go off and do it, man. If you like it, somebody else is going to like it. You're going to find your listeners. You're going to find your tribe. If you, I was listening to, was it Laurie Anderson on a podcast? That's Lou Reed's, widow. And when she first started hearing music, she heard like a jazz fusion type of band when she was coming up, and she said, you know, these people practiced the night before, and then when she went that day to the concert, you had one instrument going this way, another instrument going that way. They were totally off the beat, and still people got up at the end of the concert and clapped because that moved them. It made them feel something. So whatever music you want to put out, all 11 genres of songs that you put out, you know, you are going to hit 11, and there's going to be like a Venn diagram. There's going to be a circle where they go, hey, I like this version of that song, and I like this song. And in the middle, that's BlackNova. That is where it all came together. Those Venn diagrams, boom, 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 11 different circles, and they all diagrammed right there with BlackNova and that good team. And Heston Cleveland out there making music, making books, promoting people. I love it, man. I love it. I know we got to wind this thing down at some point. We've only scratched the surface. Heston's already been on so many times. They know so much about him. But, you know, I know K.E., I want you to come back on. Ricardo, I know you're out there listening. I want you to come on and tell a little bit about what you think about the world today and how, you know, a musician, an artist, anybody can make it in this world, you know. And do you have to have a day job? No, but it doesn't hurt, you know, because a lot of times musicians don't get insurance. They don't get benefits. It's good to have a day job, steady pay, steady income, work.
That
like Cool
having
Mo D
a day
said.
having a day job does not mean that you are not the star that you actually truly are. It just means that that's the way things are slotted. Whatever is in your heart to do, you must do you. I also want to follow Heston up. I have a book coming out this summer, too, that actually I wrote 20 years ago. And I came back and polished it up because people kept asking about it. It's a book called Snakes and Snails, off the nursery rhyme, you know, play off the nursery rhyme, what a little boy's made of, snips and snails and puppy dog tails, and little girl sugar and spice and everything nice. And it pretty much documents the travels of a male child from the age of 3 to adulthood, and the things that we encounter that a woman or a girl would never know unless a man be honest enough to share those things. I've had guys read that book and shriek back from it because I reminded them of things that they tried to forget.
Creators
so
got to create. Man, I mentioned Laurie Anderson. The reason that she popped up in my head is because Lou Reed was writing stories, you know, for his whole career, but he never put that book out. And it's like a book about yoga, and he was like a Zen master or some kind of Buddhist. I don't know exactly what it was about, but don't wait until it's too late. I'm so glad 20 years in the making, you putting this book out there. It's not too late. You're still here. You're still around. You're still doing things, and you're going to reap the benefits and the rewards of putting those words out there and telling those stories. Man, I've never written a book, you know, and I've never written a song, and I'm so in awe of people like you and people like Carrie and people like Bill Cleveland, you know, who can write and arrange and put that talent out there. Fantastic, man. Just amazing.
Well, I want to say that the difference in BlackNova putting out music or anything, we aim to help people. We aim to make clarity and make, you know, our coming out, you know, mantra is BlackNova's in the building, you know, bringing you some healing, trying to make sense of what you're feeling. And we seriously do. Even when we're making, you know, some club something or something that's funny, you know, we're trying to give some type of explanation, some type of relief, you know, some type of explanation of life and everything that we're doing. So the book, you know, would be a catalyst to the podcast that I'm doing this summer, which actually is going to be a men's help group. And we're going to talk about some things and go deep into some subjects, because the one thing that prohibits a lot of people from healing, and particularly men, because nobody wants to hear what a man say. You know, it's just a bunch of bitching and complaining. But it helps people to heal when they know for sure that they're not especially cursed. And so everything that BlackNova does, trust me, there is something in the words, there is something in the sound that's going to live with you if you'll stop and give it a moment to hear. That is a promise.
Hey, you're telling me about what a man says. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. I've been married for 20 years. I haven't made a decision on my own in 20 years. I used to know stuff. I used to know how to do things on my own. I don't even know if I could tie my own shoes without her looking over my shoulder. But I'm so glad that she's there, guiding me. I used to know how to make my own dinner. Nope, not anymore.
I'm so proud of you, husband, man. Now put that hammer back in your hand. Yes, it comes along as part of the plan. These honeydews, never ending honeydews.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's close this thing down. Let's take it home for a little bit on that. I want you to give, Heston, you've already given some shout outs. I wanted you to be the first one to give some shout outs to people that have helped you along the way, and then give some last words for the people. And then KE, BlackNova, I'm going to have you do the same. Heston?
Yes, sir. Okay. I am living a story that I really think is unbelievable. 45 years in the making, the resurrection of Carrie Cleveland. Now, to leave you with this, a legend died today, and my mom is starting over today, and she's the same age. And to quote the last part of High Beams,
as long as you're alive,
right? It's your time. And I'm the best of mine. That rings so well in my mom's life that I'm blessed to be a part of. I decided to do this story because of family values. I grew up in a neighborhood where everybody was your mother and father. Mm-hmm. I mean, we lived in Oakland, California, and every block was a family. I'm blessed to have my mom and dad be together to raise me. Their love was so strong that they got married 2 times. No divorce. Married and remarried, and I was the best man. My mom and dad loved music. They loved each other, and they loved me. Mm-hmm. Father wrote all the songs. They were love letters for my mom. And now today, 45 years later, people are enjoying them. And as long as you're alive, it's your time. And I'm out. And I have to thank you, Dan. I mean, I started this whole thing talking about you. You're a hell of a man, dude. You're a hell of a man. And I love you, dog.
Feeling is mutual, my man. I appreciate you, Heston Cleveland. All right, K.E. Dorham, BlackNova. Give some shout outs to people that have helped you along the way, and then we'll take this thing home.
Yeah, my first producer, Blast, Archie Ray Jackson, Houston, Texas. Without him, I never would have got started properly. He gave me my lift. He was my big brother, my teacher, my guide, my counselor, my protectorate. And after he left, the 3 brief years that I got to know him and live around him, he prepared me, to get a good start off going off into the world on my own. And when I lost him, I knew that I probably would not have anybody in my corner like that. And it was true until I met Ricardo Love. And so I have to thank Big Brother Ricardo for all the patience he's had to allow me to get all of these sounds, all these fully composed songs out of my head and down on tape, and recording. Him first and foremost. My man Aquavis Warfield, who shoots, amazing footage and a hell of an editor himself, for still coming out and filming, all of my aspirations, even when the money's not there, due to it going to facilitating the whole operation. My man, Philip Sandler III, Divine Noise, same for him. This guy has put the face on BlackNova. We would not be visually what we are, as a presentation without him and his music production and his friendship. The ladies of BlackNova for always coming out and being part of the scene, again, making the BlackNova experience, what it is by sight. And just chat with Bree. She's played our stuff, and yourself, man, for playing our stuff before I even knew you was playing it. Keep telling me why and all. I heard about you catching fire on some of those songs. And, just the few special people that have lended an ear, to BlackNova out the gate, and giving us a chance to be in position to start being heard. I really, thank you all. Naru Pana, of course, for always keeping me inspired. There are the very rare few people. Most people might not give a damn who you are before you are who people become to know you as. But there are a few special people, and Naru, he's been, a major encouragement, on some dark days. And lastly, this dude right here, the king of the small talk. I love the Clevelands. I love working with them. I love just being around them. Sometimes I go over to their house, for a little or nothing at all, to do something, because these are people, you meet a lot of ungrateful people in life, or people that they don't really know what to appreciate. But I love doing things for them because I know that they appreciate every little thing that I do, and I appreciate them. And Moms is the sweetest thing. I love it. Dude. So, yeah, it's good. Keep your ears open for BlackNova. Visit BlackNovaEntertainment, .com, BlackNova Entertainment on any platform. Go to CarrieCleveland.com. Anything that comes out of BlackNova that's featuring Carrie Cleveland will be there. Please share if you're impressed to, if you're impressed to, only if you're impressed to, and comment. Please leave a comment because that lets us know what you're feeling about what we were feeling. And we thank you in advance.
All right, K.E., that High Beam song, BlackNova featuring Carrie Cleveland. I encourage my loyal listener to take a listen to that. All right, I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. You are the one who's going to give the last words, K.E. from the BlackNova. I want you to give the last words for the people.
Whatever you have in your heart and your mind, please do it while you still have time. And there is somebody that's going to appreciate you for doing it. Do it.
Well, there you have it, party people. Heston Cleveland and K.E. Dorham of the BlackNova Experience. So stoked. So glad they came on the show. So glad you came on the show. If you're still listening, my friends. Man, I look forward to hearing more from you as time progresses. Yeah, follow them around on their various social medias. Look up Heston Cleveland. Look up the BlackNova Experience. I got them in the show notes. The BlackNovaEntertainment.com. And I think it's CarrieCleveland.com as well. And show them some love. Buy their records. Go out and see a show. Buy some merchandise. Yeah, make sure they get to do what they do, giving the good music to the people, making people feel a certain kind of way. It's a superpower, I tell you. It is. I know I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's a superpower when people can think about things and put music to their words, music to their thoughts. and just put them out to the world. Make people feel good. Yeah. All right, party people, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. And now I got to turn my attention to you. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.